quiet mornings to city lights. Every story earns its right. No filters, no favors, just the truth all day long. This is the pulse of Jonesboro.
Welcome to the Pulse of Jonesboro. I am Jeremy Terrell, and I am your host, and I thank you for tuning in today. Man, we're going to talk about some crazy stuff today. I'm going to get into it. I'm going to hopefully not be all over the place, but there's a lot of information. My head's spinning right now, trying to take it all in. Had some conversations today, had some conversations yesterday, did some investigation. Man, we're just all over the place. So I'm going to jump into it. And first I want to say I'm in my new studio. It's been a while, been talking about it. Man, I'm pumped. I did an interview this morning. Interviews are going to be better, stronger than ever. It's freaking awesome. I got to get used to like moving around and not getting away from the mic. But with all that being said, man, it's really cool. This kind of stuff up here that won't be there probably pretty long or very long, but we're moving so fast that it's like we just got to use what we do now. It's beautiful stuff, don't get me wrong, but it'll be different stuff that'll be back there. So great interviews coming, more high-tech interviews, and the ability to just do some bigger and better things. It's here finally. So I am in the new studio, and this is the very first one of the new studio. So I hope you guys enjoy it, and I'm enjoying it, and the future's bright. So, and all that's really due to you guys and what you guys have done for me and making sure that you're tuning in, and I'll continue to press and get people to do what they're supposed to do that are elected officials, and we'll see what happens, man. We're moving in the right direction, and guys, they know that you're listening now. They know that you're paying attention. And man, I'm so very thankful for that. So keep plugging away, keep liking, keep sharing, and we're seeing things moved. And one of the ways I know we're seeing things moved and that they're listening is in the state of the city. The mayor's basically referencing a few of these things and a few of his statements, and we're going to go over some of those. But so we are moving the needle, and they are paying attention. So. We're going to keep doing that. We're averaging 15 to 25,000 views a day, and that's fantastic. Man, we just keep plugging away and keep supporting us, and we're so very excited about what 2026 is going to bring. So with that being said, I do want to talk a little bit about what we're doing in the future, and it's called NEA Promotions. And in NEA Promotions, we're going to be going out to different local businesses, and we're going to be doing some awesome things there. So the interview I did today is kind of first of many, and it's not the same as this one, but it's going to be a really cool one. We'll put that out here in the next couple of days. It'll be after this one, but just to look forward, it's a really cool one. So I'm going to jump into today, and man, It's a tough one. I'm aggravated about some things. I'm really frustrated about some things, and then I've got some clarity too, which is pretty good. And we're going to try to cover it all, and try not to keep this episode like crazy long. But here we go, man. So in the state of the city, what the mayor does, and he's really good at it, is he inflates, and he gives us numbers, and they look and sound big and grand. And the problem with that is that's just what it is. It's inflated, big and grand posturing with not a whole lot of substance behind it. Let me give you one of those instances. He comes out and he's like, we've done 17,000 linear feet of drainage way inspections or work. I don't remember exactly which one it was. Regardless, 17,000 linear feet, and that sounds big. Like 17,000 linear feet. That's tons, right? Well, that's really about 3 miles. So we've done 3 miles in 2025 worth of drainage inspections or drainage cleaning or whatever. I don't even know what that is, but let me tell you something. If we're only doing 3 miles of drainage issues in Jonesboro per year, that's pretty pathetic. I don't care if it's inspections. I don't care if it's clearing. I don't care what it is. 3 miles is not much. So we've got a whole lot more than 3 miles of drainage issues. And to tout that, that's just incredibly frustrating. Now, maybe you come out and say and clarify and give us more information, but to tout that as a big undertaking for an entire year that we did 3 miles of that, it's pretty, in my opinion, it's pretty pathetic. So, but that's what happens. We did all this work and he adds it all up and we've done 55 million of this and of road work and infrastructure and da 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 da. And the truth of the matter is the majority of that's RDOT. The majority of that is not us. The city is not doing that stuff. He just lumps it all in because it looks good and it sounds good and it's big numbers. And yeah, we are contributing financially to some of those things, but we're like, I don't remember exactly what we're giving to the intersection at Southwest Drive and Parker, but I think it's $2 million or something like that we're giving to it, but the overall project's way more than that. And RDOT's doing it. So, but he clumps that in as that's what we're doing. And to be truthful, I don't know what we are doing. And I really asked this question, and that is this: quit lumping us all in with, the county and the state. Can you just give us what we're doing? Aside from sidewalks that you constantly are talking about, which we're going to talk about a little bit of that in just a minute. What are we doing? What have we built? What are we clearing? What roads are we doing? Now, you said that our road crew, and that's the patching guys and the pothole guys, they're working tirelessly. I bet they are. Like I'm sure every time they do a pothole, they're like, man, this road needs covered, but they're doing their best. I know they are, because there's potholes all over the place, and they're probably some of the busiest in all of the city, because we're not doing any roads. We're not overlaying roads. You said we got 3 million coming this year. You said that we were going to do X, Y, and Z last year, and we didn't. So, I'm struggling. I'm really struggling here because we don't know really what the city's doing, because you lumped everything that the city, county, and state are all doing in one state of the city. And it's frustrating, and it's deceitful and misleading. So what is the city doing? Can you please clarify? Can you pull out all of the stuff, all of the fluff, and just tell us what the city has done? That would be incredibly helpful. You said 555 was mowed 23 times. I'm pretty sure the county puts that out to bid. Pretty sure of that. We didn't do that. We didn't mow it. The city didn't mow it, but it got mowed 22 times. What does that even mean? Like that, why is that something that you're putting on your resume as a mayor? And if there's a legitimate reason, what is it? Why did you put that there? That we mowed it 20, I don't know who we is. Because I know it's a sub. I know it's the county or the state that's in charge of that. So not 100% sure there. But you said it. You talk about, the sewers and things like that. And I'm pretty sure City Water and Light's in charge of that stuff. Now, if you said City Water and Light, one of our amazing companies, which they are, they're one of the best, or always have been. Hopefully they stay that way. But why don't you say that? Why don't you give the credit where it's due and not lump them in as if the city's doing something that's crazy awesome? And it just goes on. And I think the reason why you do that is because what is it that we've done? Now, don't get me wrong. Like, there's unbelievable people that work in the city. There's fantastic people. They do a lot of good things. I mean, we've had clean audits. So the people in the finance, the people in the collections, those people, the collectors and things like that, they're rock stars. We've got some great rock stars. I've said, we have some great people with social media. We have some other stuff that's just, great employees throughout, but we have a lot of deadbeats. We have some that shouldn't be there. And, it is what it is, but just to be truthful. So when I'm going off on like the city and things like that, I'm really going off on the leadership. There's tons of people that work with our city that are phenomenal. I know some of them. And it's the same with the police department. Like, dude, you literally did it again. You really just said how awesome the police department is doing, and that's because of the leadership. So let's talk about that real quick. And this is just another way that you make it look better than it is. You did this, and so I'm going to point it out. Instead of you saying Chief Elliott brought out numbers and he says it's 18,000 something last year in 2025, you said that's from the FBI. The FBI said we had 18,000 whatever, and that's the lowest in a decade. The FBI gets their numbers from who, Mayor? You or the chief. The FBI doesn't have some magic wand or whatever where they get their own statistics. They don't have some computer system or some organization that's out here getting their own numbers. The numbers are given to them and recorded from what we give them. So it's just another way. I get it. With all the uncertainty and all of the, the people that are really concerned about what's going on and the ability to tell the truth, you're going to tout the FBI. I get it. So, but I just want people to be clear that the FBI gets their numbers from Jonesboro. Now, let's talk a little bit about that real quick, because I did some investigation on that, because I scratched my head. Every time those things are come out, I'm like, it doesn't make any sense. If you ask the police men and women on the roads, drug task force, whatever it is, they all say the same thing. It's not easier to do their job today than it was 5 years ago. It's not. None of them will say it's easier today than it was yesterday. It's just not the truth. I've talked to them. Now, there may be a very select few, and that's fine. But the majority of every one of them say it's harder to do their job today than it is yesterday. And so what I did is I went out and I did some more investigative investigation into this. And one of those things that I did is and I'll be FOI in the 911 calls here in the next week or so. But, when you get a 911 call and you respond, usually there's ambulances that show up and fire departments. So I can tell you that the ambulances have shown up this year to way more gun violence than what was posted or tallied. So that's an interesting thing. That's an interesting phenomenon. So if the ambulance departments have showed up to more stabbings, more shots than was put in the report, what does that say? Who's wrong? It's a question that we need to be asking. I'm going to check into like I said, I'm going to have some FOIA in the 911 center, and we'll find out how many calls we actually had about guns. But I will say this, that people that are the first responders, other than what was recorded, say otherwise. So just check in, listeners, check in later back in we'll talk about that more. But that's some of the investigative work that I've done, and that's some of the reports that I have gotten, and makes me scratch my head. And it just goes, again, kind of against what the mayor does when he starts to kind of inflate things and then, push this narrative and says, well, the FBI says. So it doesn't matter what Jeremy says about what the numbers are or what the chief says, because the FBI is what matters. But the FBI got their numbers from the chief or somebody in the department that gave it to them. So another one of the things that he does. We talked about Craighead. The Craighead I'm out at Craighead a lot. Craighead looks great in a lot of ways. I think that they need probably maybe more people and more equipment to help them do their job. But overall, I have no real complaints about Craighead, other than it could be, if we invested more money, it could be even better. And yet we keep kind of neglecting it more, as far as like upping the amount of money that we should spend out there. I'm not sure why that is. I think that it could be one of the biggest draws in Northeast Arkansas if done correctly. And yet they don't do anything. You're not moving the needle out there for some reason. There's going to be some work on it to make sure that some safety things are done, so that if UTVs and ATVs are out there driving, that's going to be done. And we'll see what the new Parks Department guy does. And I think he's way more competent than the one we just lost. But, are you going to allow him to do his job? I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. You touted the Ridge Athletic Center, the one that you didn't want or didn't support in the very beginning. And you keep touting that, and you've been touting that now for about a year and a half. And it makes me scratch my head. Now, don't get me wrong. Like, you should be, with those walls up and everything else and it coming, I know you need to support it as a mayor, because it is taxpayers' money that is doing this, and you need to make sure that it succeeds, and hopefully it will. And the majority of people on here know my feeling about it and where I stand, but you keep touting it as this awesome thing that you did. And to my recollection, and I remember you not being a big fan of it. So I don't know why you keep touting it. I'm not 100% sure. And maybe you're just like saying, hey, this is what Jonesboro's doing. But you make it sound as if the city has done some amazing things. And again, I'm not knocking all of the city employees. I am knocking you. I mean, basically that's it. And I'm going to get a little bit more in depth in that in just a minute, and why I'm so upset at this current situation. But I want to stick with the state of the city, because again, you inflate these numbers and you just say big things. And then, you did talk a little bit about like the people that are in our town that have done a lot of things, and, a lot of businesses have opened and things like that. And I think you said 150 businesses have opened, and that's fantastic. I don't know where there's 150. I can't put my eye or wrap my head around 150 businesses, but if that's true, I mean, that's great. I don't know if that like encompasses, if somebody's building houses and I don't know where 150 are, but I'm not saying that there's not. I'm just saying that that's kind of a head scratcher a little bit. But the people of Jonesboro, and there's a ton of people in Jonesboro that are crazy fantastic. We have a couple of women that are rock star business people. We have a couple of men that are rock star business people. We have some family owned businesses, and they are killing it. I mean, we have some headquarters, we have all of that good stuff, and they're doing that. And I just don't think it's right or fair to say and lump that in the state of the city, if you're not saying that it's them that did what they did. And it just makes it sound the way that you wrap it up. And maybe I'm being a hater, and I guess that is a little bit of on this statement. But when you package all of these things, like you're talking about the roads and the 50 million that we've invested, when it's really RDOT, and that we're doing way more roads, and it's really RDOT, and we're not doing any roads ourselves. And, you talk about the, 17,000 linear feet of drainages when it's really just 3 miles. You just keep inflating, and so when you do say something and maybe I need to give you a pat on the back, it just makes me aggravated. It's kind of like, you talking about the FBI and their report, and it's the lowest in a decade, when we know that there's problems at the top. We know it. I talk to the police officers. Every single one say the same thing. Now, maybe there's a handful or two of police officers that don't believe what I'm saying, but the majority do. We don't lose police officers to Paragould or Truman or Bono or Brooklyn because we're so awesome. We don't have 21 openings because we're so awesome. That's not the case. We don't have lots of people leaving and retiring the day they can retire to get away from what's happening because it's so awesome. And that's what's happening. You and I sat in a coffee shop and had a meeting at your request, and somebody else was there, and you wanted me to back you for the mayor position before the runoff. And I told you, I don't know if I can trust you to take care of what's happening in the police department. You said to me, Jeremy, that's one of the first things I'm going to do in January, as soon as I'm reelected and I take office for your second term. You told me you can't do it in election year. That's what you said. And if you're saying that that's not true, you're lying. Somebody else was there. Somebody else witnessed it. You got to quit. You got to quit lying. I don't know what is going on with that. I don't get it. Did you change your mind? And if you did, you're wrong. It's bad. It's bad. I talked to police officers that have left the JPD, and they've been long-term JPD, and they're gone. And it's the same report every single time. Every single time. It's the same one. If any of you, chief, mayor, assistant, any of y'all want to come on, we'll have that debate. Let's do it. And if not, then we got to quit acting like it's not the case. So at some point in time, like, the deceitfulness and the lying's got to stop. And I'm going to touch base on a little bit more of that here in just a second. But I'm done with that. I'm done with that. You talk about pedestrian safety, and you get all upset about people that talk about sidewalks. The sidewalks aren't the issue. It's the sidewalks that were put in the wrong spots. It's the sidewalks that were built way too big. It's the ideal behind your sidewalks. I come out and talk about sidewalks and that they don't bring any economic value. And then you get up and you say, maybe those haters about sidewalks just don't care about people. No, I care about people. Those that don't like the sidewalks, they care about people, but they also care about our tax funds. They also care about our time and effort put forth on doing something. Or when you put all this time and effort into something that we all deem, or the majority of the people deem, ridiculous, when you could have been spending all that time and effort on something else that actually matters. If you would have put sidewalks down Fisher or down Patrick or on the north side of town all over the place, or on the east side of town around Nettleton schools or other places, if you'd have started this trail at Craighead and brought it towards town, there's lots of things that you could have done that you didn't do. We started these trails on Culverhouse, and we're going down to Jefferson. We have a sidewalk on Washington. We have a sidewalk on Matthews, but we're going to go right down Jefferson. Makes no sense. We put one down Creth. Makes no sense. The people on Creth don't walk it down at nighttime. They're scared. The people who live there. Doesn't make any sense. And so, when you have potholes and all kinds of stuff, and every single comment, not every, 85% of the comments, anytime on any outlet, Anytime something's said about the sidewalks, it makes people aggravated, and they're like, can you just fix the roads? It's the truth. Go look at them. I know you do. And then you're like, for people that don't like, helping those that can't afford a car or walk around. That's not the case, dude. That's not the case. You trying to point fingers and be like a hater on those that are just bringing truth to you is pretty silly. When I say they don't bring economic value, they don't. The difference between the Rogers ones and the Fayetteville ones and all of that good stuff is that they bring economic value. Now, the difference between us and them is so if they bring people to that sidewalk and they're going up and down that sidewalk and they're stopping at the businesses that are built along there, getting ice cream and coffee and lunch and all of that good stuff because they're on this trail system, that brings economic value. Then that gives you the ability to take that tax money and make sure that those trails that you put in or big old sidewalks that you put in are manageable 5 years from now. The problem that we have is that's not the case. We don't have any way to pay for those sidewalks in 5 years, the maintenance, the upkeeps, none of it. We don't have any of that to put in your green walkways and things like that across these things. We won't have money for that. The grant money's gone. That's what I'm talking about, economic value. That's what I'm talking about. If you build something, you better be able to take care of it for the next 20 years. And that's not what you're doing. And then you want to hate on the people that say, man, we needed to do that better. And it's wrong. You tout on the airport. I'm guarantee you the city had nothing to do about that airport. The people out there that are at that airport, they're the ones plugging away and all of that good stuff, man. They are trying to make it bigger and better and badder. But that's fine. Tout it away. I mean, it makes you look better. You talk about, the people in our town, which are fantastic. We have some of the best people I've lived all over the country. Jonesboro has some of the best people across the country, no doubt. We have some really smart business people. We have some really amazing people. Has nothing to do with that. The only thing that Jeremy Terrell and the Pulse of Jonesboro gets aggravated is the leadership here and the directions that they go. We are a car dependent city. You act like we're not. You've jumped all into the Pete Buttigieg walking cities for some reason, and then you try to get mad at the people, or actually you try to say that the people that don't want to get on the bus situation, the trolleys and the sidewalks are bad people and they don't care about people. You said that. You said they don't care about people. For those of you that don't care about people in the infrastructure of, people that got to walk, man, you don't care about people that got to walk. The people on the north side of town walk way more than any other areas in all of Jonesboro. We're not focusing on their safety. That it's not true. Flint. How many people walk down Flint? I mean, there's a ton of people that walk down Matthews. I guess maybe they're going to jump up to Jefferson. Maybe. I don't know. I haven't checked. I mean, I went down Jefferson the other day. I didn't see anybody walking. Tons of people down Matthews for sure, but we didn't do any work there. Lots of people walk down Washington, going towards the school, that area. But we decided to focus over on Creth. It's just bad moves after bad moves after bad moves. I don't know. I mean, it's pretty interesting about the city. It's pretty divided. And this is coming from people that work in the city so that we all understand where this came from. There's great people that work there, strong, do their job, the people that handle the money, because, we did get we have gotten, great audits and things like that. And that's fantastic. Thank you to all of those people that work in the finance, the collectors and all of that stuff. You guys are rock stars. Thanks for making sure that taxpayers' money is not stolen or any of that good stuff. Thank you for making sure that it's managed correctly. Now they don't have any, they're not the ones controlling the purse and moving that money around. They just make sure that it's not done illegally and that's all accounted for. and they do a great job at that. There's other areas in the city that people are rock stars at, 100%. But the leadership at the top has got to stop, and I'm going to go into a couple more things, and then I'm going to show a couple of emails, because I got some emails. I got some FOI information, and it's pretty damning, and it shows a cover up and basically trying to, what's a good word for it? I don't want to say cover up. Let's just say that it's, I'm just going to stick with cover up. And I'll talk a little bit about what it is covering up here in just a minute. So, you talk about this public input, and that we're getting people together to tell us their input over the next 20 or the you didn't say race to 100,000, but whatever it is. And I think that's great. Like, public input is fantastic. The problem is that we spent a ton of money, to tell us what direction the city should be going. And I don't know if I know what the problem is, but I don't know if we've abandoned that and now we're moving on to this one. And if we are, my question is why. I know the answer, but my question is why. It's kind of like, you talked about, bus benches and covers for several years and didn't move the needle on that. And then all of a sudden it's done and ready to go. And that's because we spent $1 million on a organization to come in and tell us how to automate our buses and how to make sure that we're putting up the right benches and covers. I mean, I'd have done that for a whole lot less than $1 million. But I even said that I'd build a bench and a cover on my dime. Like, I would take on, I would adopt a bus stop. I would have done that for free and make sure that I managed it and all of that good stuff. And I'm sure there's other companies that would have done the same thing. But we spent years and years and years talking about it. And then now we're moving in the right direction, but it took us years and years and years, and then paying somebody. And that's kind of what we seem to be doing. And you guys hear me say that a lot on here, but we pay and pay and pay organizations to tell us what to do constantly. And I heard that in the city council meeting, whenever I think city councilmen and women, listen to me. When you ask a question, where are we at? And they say, well, we've got this group and they should be reporting to us here real soon. That is about 50% of the time. 50% of the time we are waiting for some company that we pay to tell us what to do. That is crazy town. That's a head scratcher. Do we not have people that are hired that can do those things or think outside the box? Or I don't know. I mean, I don't know if we have any experts, or I don't know. I mean, I want to hire the experts and stop paying millions and millions of dollars to organizations to tell us what to do or how to move. And again, I'm gonna tell you why that is here shortly. But you talk about working together, Mayor. And, you talked about ASU and local schools and city council. So I know that you don't work with ASU much. I've talked to people there. I know that you don't work with city council because you actually apologized a couple months ago to them for lack of communication. So you don't work with them. And the local schools, not 100% sure you work with them either. They're failing our kids, dramatically failing our kids. So maybe you are working with them. I don't know. But you don't work with ASU and you don't work with city council. And maybe you're turning over a new leaf. And if that's true, I think you ought to tell us that that's what you're doing. because you've apologized for not working with them. But then you tout how awesome it is and that we got to work together. And maybe you're like mad at the city council because they're not doing what you want them to do here lately and that they're questioning you, or maybe it's a deflection. I'm not 100% sure, but regardless, Mayor, if you say that this work is we have to do it together, I think it's going to have to start with you. I mean, you are the guy at the top, and it's time for you to start, working together. And the magical word there is work. Here's a big thing. Here's a big thing. This is just another example of kind of where I'm hinting around and going around. So in December, first part of December, our Parks Department head gets an investigation started, and he gets put on leave. And basically, all the assumptions are this: mismanagement, possible stealing of money, so forth and so on. This has been going on now for a year or more. Definitely big conversations from the city council for 7, 8, 9 months, and you did nothing. And then this happens in an investigation. And just this Tuesday is now March. This happened. The investigation started in December, the first part of December. You've been asked questions. Where are we at on City Stars or whatever the new organization is? How are we running things different, so forth and so on? And we're not. I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, the new Parks and Rec guy is definitely putting procedures and things like that to better pay or keep up with pay better, gate money and things like that better. But the City Stars is still writing checks out of the old account. Like you didn't. Most businessmen or women or people with sense would have done it this way. FBI comes in, starts immediately investigating your Parks Department head. You put them on leave. You did nothing through December. The majority of the people, competent people, would have done whatever it took. We would have said, hey, over the next week or 2 weeks, we get this in tip-top shape. Whatever it is, 100% tip-top shape. We know everything that's going on. We know where all the money's going. We will operate 100% in this way, and this way, and this way. That's what a good leader would have done. Literally last night or 2 nights ago, the city attorney is still saying, we don't know. Well, we don't know. Well, and like, number one, it's wrong, because I know I have done some FOIA, or I have seen several FOIA stuff that has come through, and the FBI has said, stop. Anything that we're doing, they didn't say stop operating or stop answering questions or stop answering FOIAs. They said, nothing we're doing is going to impede your day-to-day activity or your day-to-day ability to move in the direction that you believe needs to be moved within the city. And yet you keep giving excuses that this wasn't done and this wasn't done and this wasn't done because of an investigation, or this wasn't answered, or this wasn't answered because of an investigation. I sent to you an FOIA to the city 3 or 4 weeks ago, and I got almost nothing back. Like, it took them weeks and weeks and weeks. And what's aggravating about that is I know some of the things that I FOIA, the FBI had to have FOIA'd you as well, or however they get their stuff. So I know that you compiled it, and I know you put it together. And yet it took me weeks and weeks to get answers to some of the things. And I still didn't get like crazy amount of answers. And I'm still going through some of them, but I know that stuff is there, and it was crazy. It's crazy. And so, last night or the other night, Matt Daniel gets up and it's posted. So you can just go back after this one and see it. I posted it on Facebook. And gets up and has about an 8-minute speech. And in that speech, he basically talked about the ways that the mayor lied when he addressed this situation in January or February, and the things that he said and the lies that he told. And the mayor continues to do that. He continues to try to cover up and lie. There was one last night where or Tuesday night, I keep saying last night, sorry, Tuesday night, where I think it was David McLean asked a question. And again, the city attorney is like, we don't have the answer to that yet. And it's from one of two things. And that is this. And I've been told this by people that work in the city. We got a huge group that does not work. They just don't work. I mean, that's just the truth. And maybe that's why we see a massive amount of what looks to be nefarious undergoings. And I think it's probably just more laziness than it is anything. I don't think it's and incompetence. I don't think it's like they really don't know. I think they just didn't do anything. I think when this Danny thing happened, they just didn't do anything. They didn't move in any sort of warp speed or any kind of manageable speed to make sure that what was going on within City Stars and the city's involvement, that they cleaned it up really, really fast and made sure that everybody involved knew that the city this is their position on it, and we're moving this direction, and do it in a manner that is quick. It is December, January, February, 3 months later, and we're still nowhere different other than what the new Parks Department director has done as far as like collecting money and stuff, and kind of him getting his brain wrapped around things. But up until this point, that nothing. There's still a lot of pigeon toads there's still a lot of incompetence that is stopping progress or anybody doing progress within the city. It's incredibly frustrating. So there's two things that I literally. Oh, another thing is the mayor continues, and the mayor's people keep continuing to throw people under the bus. So some questions were brought up, and in those questions, it was actually a couple of them were really good. And in those questions, I think David McLean said, or asked, has the city asked any employees, have they taken any cash? Now, granted, it's 3 months later, right? And I know that the FBI said that keep operating and nothing that they're doing is going to impede the city from continue to move the city in the direction that the city believes is the right way to move forward. Hopefully I'm saying that right where you guys can understand it. So there's questions that David McLean asked, and they have no answer. They have no answer. And I don't know how they're going to answer it other than no, we haven't asked anybody. We don't want to impede in an investigation, or you just don't want to do your job. I mean, that could be it. Do you want to do your job? Do you want to take care of taxpayers' money? Do you want to spend it in a manner that is appropriate? Do you want to get to the bottom of things when people are doing nefarious things, under the city eye? Any of that stuff. Do you want to know the truth? Do you want to present the truth? That's another couple of things. Do you want to even present the truth? I don't know. You or one of your guys, actually, I think it was one of your guys, got up and said this lady's poor name, Heather Talley, and said, well, she's the one that did all of that. Talking about when David asked, and he asked a question about, the money running through City Stars on the Christmas parade. And they go, that's probably a question for Heather Talley. And it's like, what? Does the city take responsibility for anything? Anything? You mean the parade was ran and we had no idea who did what? Is that what you're saying? Is that what you're saying? Or are you saying, hey, let me deflect from me and let me push it off on this other person? Because that's what you've been doing this entire time. It's just pushing it off on other people. Now you got your rear end handed to you on Tuesday night when you talked about the wrong person who resigned from, in the soccer organization, and then you lied about him. Go look at that, guys, down below, page down. It's in there. And there's lots of other ways that this keeps continuing to happen, and it's deflect. It's not, hey, yeah, this happened on my watch. This will never happen again. We're doing X, Y, and Z. Never, ever again is this going to happen. Not under my watch. We're going to make sure that this is the best of the best of the best, and we've already made the changes. It's constantly like, we don't know yet. We haven't gone there yet. We hired this group to tell us. We don't know. We're looking into that. We'll let you know tomorrow. It's constantly that. We'll let you know. We don't know. We didn't do anything. Constantly. So here's a couple of things I want to ask. And this is two real nitty gritty stuff. So in my hand, I have an email, and this was an FOIA email that was acquired by somebody that I know. And this was from the person that did the audit on City Stars back in June or July. I can't remember when that was, and this is from the person that did it. And this is basically the person that I said that this is a baby audit, and she got really upset, and she got up and basically she said, let me read what she says. She says, can I respond after I got up and said that this was a baby audit? And now, remind you, when I said it was a baby audit, I actually gave examples of why this was. There was no accounting for cash that was brought in. There was no accounting for concessions that was brought in. Like all she said was concessions and the gate brought in 17,000. Okay. And I said, well, how do you know that? Like that the numbers don't add up. I said, there's no understanding here for any of this stuff. And where is the checks and balances on this stuff? And she got up and she said, just to touch base on some of the things he said. I've been an auditor since 2000. I worked for 15 years for the Division of Legislative Audits. They are who performs your annual city audit in the most of the cities in the state. So I very much know what I am doing. I was hired by the City Stars board. I don't know any non-for-profit that we audit that the board doesn't hire me. I mean, there's not going to be some stranger off the road that's going to come hire me to audit your organization. It's going to be somebody from your board. I've been into public accounting for 10 years doing nonprofits. So don't really know there. But as far as my suggestions, like I said, I would suggest separating out the income and things like that. But and this is the important part, but as an auditor, I'm required to be independent in fact and appearance. She said a bunch of stuff, but let me just get down to the nitty gritty here at the end. So she said, hey, listen, I'm an independent auditor. Of course, I'm going to be hired by somebody that usually, and I do a lot of nonprofits. And she's also with the same firm that does the city audits. She's been an auditor since 2000. So, and she worked 15 years as a division legislative audit in the division of legislative audit. So she knows what she's doing, basically, is what she's telling me. And then she says, but, as an auditor, I'm required to be independent in fact and appearance. And I have professional standards I have to follow. I have to, maintain professional skepticism and diligence and all that, or I lose my license. I mean, there's nobody in the City Stars organization that I would lose my job for. So that's what I have to say about that. Okay. So that's because I said it was a baby audit and she was incredibly aggravated. So in my hand, I hold an email between her and Danny Kapalis on May 16th. And this is how this goes. It says, good morning. When you get a chance, would you send me a breakdown of what we talked about yesterday as far as, number one, how the committee of parents was formed and what their duties and powers are. You mentioned 3 employees and salaries being paid for Revolution. Who were these people that were there, and what were their salaries? How were they approved? Also, were these positions in place before 2024? If so, who held the positions and what was the pay? Now here's number 3. That's where it gets kind of interesting. Number 3, what accusations have been made so that I can cater my testing to defend those? Okay. A rundown of who writes checks, signs checks, receives money for contributions or fees, who deposits, who maintains the books, David, quotations. How are invoices approved? Are financials presented to the board? And if so, how often? Who reconciles the bank account? What is provided at meetings as far as financial information? Any other financial procedures or controls that you have in place that you feel are relevant to the audit? Anything else number 5, anything else that comes to mind that I should know on the front end to save time? Okay. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Again, let me read 3. What accusations have been made so that I can cater my testing to defend those? Right there. So let me wrap this up at the end, and this is what she says. My goal when this is all done is to be able to say to present your audit report at a board meeting and to be able to say all money is there. Let me read that again. My goal when this is all done is to be able to present your audit report at the board meeting and to be able to say all money is there. And then it says, the deficit in the program is due to spending more than you're bringing in, and be able to show what was spent in the past years as opposed to our audit year. So what I said about a baby audit, interesting. I don't know if you guys caught that, but basically it was like, hey, her whole objective is to make sure when she's done with this that she can cater to the testings, so that she can cater her testings to defend whatever it is that the accusations are. It's incredibly aggravating, frustrating. Makes me like, I don't even know. It's so frustrating. And that, I get accused that I'm being some mean, monstrous person when I ask questions. And yet, the whole premise behind what she was wanting to do is to make sure that whatever she put down was so that anybody that had any questions, she was just going to make sure that she could put those to bed and make sure that he'll be able to defend those. I don't know, man. So here's another thing. And this is just, I have FOIA papers. I have some stuff in my hand. And these are from a couple of different people that have done some FOIAing again. And one of these is from the assistant clerk of the administration assistant clerk's office, assistant of the city of Jonesboro, and the senior deputy clerk. So, you know what these are? These are where some of you guys may have heard, and I think David McLean asked this question a couple of, maybe it was in January, and he asked this question. So there were minutes taken, and in that same one where the audit happened, and Danny Kapalis got up, and David McLean asked him. It's pretty interesting. The same people asked us the relevant questions. Same people ask the relevant questions all the time. Anyways, David McLean asked Danny Kapalis, does anybody get paid that are full-time employees of the city cash? And he asked it specifically, does anybody get paid cash that are full-time employees? Danny says no. Now, here's the crazy thing. When the minutes came out, just that line was omitted. Just that line. And in a later city council meeting, that question was asked. Why was that line taken out? And our city attorney said that was probably her fault, that they use a phone to do the recording, and she thinks it rang when the transcribing was being done. And so that was the fault. Okay. So it just rang at that line, and that's why that line was out on the minutes. Well, I can tell you that I have the minutes right here that are the original minutes. And this is what it says in the original minutes. So there was 2 sets of minutes. Now I'm going to check and see, maybe there was a legitimate reason here, but in this, it says, Councilman David McLean says, like you said, the gate workers are paid from 1099s. Like I get a check, you don't give me no cash. Director Danny Kapalis said, correct. There's absolutely nobody paid by cash. I have it. These are original notes given from an FOIA. So in one, they're not there. And in another one, they are there. And yet the city continues to misguide us and mislead us. They don't take responsibility. They have yet to take responsibility. And here we are still talking about it. Guys, there's other big stuff I'm ready to talk about. There's some big stuff going on in other areas, and I'm going to hit on them. I get it. I promise. But my goodness, we just keep getting handed more bull from the same people. You wonder why we don't trust you. We're not telling the truth. I don't understand. Guys, it's too late now. Like, if you come out and tell the truth, maybe you just keep lying now because it's so far gone. Maybe that's all the chance you got. I don't know. Like, if you come out and tell the truth, maybe it's not going to matter. But had you come out and tell the truth right off the get-go? Had you come out but before you almost got voted a vote of no confidence, had you come out and said at that point, here's the truth. Won't ever happen again. We dropped the ball. What a mess. We're going to bust our tails to make sure that something like this never happens again. And here's what we're doing, X, Y, and Z. And we'll report to you next week, and you'll get the emails, and we'll make sure that everybody knows and everybody's on the same page. That's not what's happening. That's not what has happened. It's still not what is happening. I know from city councilmen and women, I know that they still haven't gotten answers that you guys keep telling them they're going to get. I know that they still haven't gotten emails that you keep telling them they're going to get. I know that the city, the people, the patrons, the citizens of Jonesboro still don't have the answers that they deserve. And you keep giving excuses, and you keep lying. You keep saying things that aren't true. You keep deflecting. You keep putting it on other people. You keep throwing other people under the bus instead of just telling the truth. You know 100% why City Stars was used for the parade. You know for a fact why that was done. You know that what was going on in City Stars was a bunch of bull, and you didn't do anything about it. And you still really haven't done anything about it. You get a new parks director and you tell him to fix everything. And he's, he's just number one, he's just learning what to do to be a parks director and try to fix all the bull that's been there with no help. That's my opinion. That's just my opinion. I haven't talked to anybody about that. I can just see it. I can see it on his face, when he gets asked a question. Here's the thing. Just tell the truth. Everybody just start telling the truth. Because I tell you, it's going to come out anyways. I promise you it's going to come out. You can bet on that one. And when it does, there's going to be a whole lot of egg on people's faces. Then what are you going to do? When the truth comes out, what are you going to do? Going to try to push it off on somebody else? Going to try to lie about it? Going to try to talk about how awesome everything is that every other organization around us is doing? Or are you going to start telling the truth at some point in time? Or are you going to have to, Why is there a camera up by your son's house? Why? Why do you keep lying about the police department? Why do we have 21 unfilled jobs? Why are people leaving from the police department? Why? I want to know the answers. Why haven't you done anything about City Stars? Why didn't you do anything about City Stars when people brought this to your attention several years ago? Why since December have you not put things into place to make sure that cash and all that stuff is why haven't you moved away from being cashless? Like, for real. Now you put it all on this other dude's plate. He's got to figure it all out. We have IT people. We have other people. This should have been done. This should have been done. Should have been done a month ago, 2 months ago, 6 months ago. We wouldn't be in this position. We wouldn't continue to be in positions that we are in if you would just do what you're supposed to be doing. Why do you keep saying the same things every year when you talk about the direction that Jonesboro's going? You just continue to tout the same things that never happen. You keep saying, now we got to move in the right direction. You keep saying, we got to look towards the future. Well, why can't you be so good at your job that all you say is, man, we're doing a great job and we're going to keep doing a great job. But you keep saying in all of your addresses, like, hey, it's time we quit doing this and talking mean to each other and start doing it in the right direction and start making it like, I don't even know what you're saying. Because none of it's true. It's all deflection from moving forward. And this is the last thing I'm going to say. I've been saying a little bit like, I know why this is. I know why this kind of stuff's going on. I know why I got 6 pages of notes here, and I know why I got emails here that are a bunch of bull It's aggravating, and it was a lot full of lies. I know why. And I've been told this, and that is, you don't work. You don't do any work. That's it. You know, you're probably not a bad guy. Probably a really good dude to hang around with. Whatever it may be. I don't know. You know, you probably didn't steal any money. I don't believe that you did. But it's just the fact that you don't work. You don't do a whole lot of nothing. Or you do a whole lot of nothing. And it's time that changes. It's time that you start being the first one in. You know, Mayor, I hear these things, and it's like, I don't know if they're true or not, but it's just things that I hear. It's like the thing with the waitress at Lemonade House Grill, you know, and how you treated her. It's a thing that I hear that, you know, you pulled up and somebody didn't know who you were about collecting money at a soccer game. And you told them, you're the mayor, you don't pay. And things like that. You know, I hear there's like, I don't know, 6 or 7 of those stories out there. And it's aggravating. And it's aggravating me. And then I get told that, you know, there's several people within the city, this is from city employees, that just don't work. And we keep hiring more. And the reason why we do, I think, is to make up for the ones that don't work. And, you know, the police department is and needs to be fixed. And you keep saying, you told me that it did, and now you're saying it doesn't. And so which one is it? Which one is it? Does it need to be fixed or not need to be fixed? Are you one that just says what everybody wants to hear and then try to deflect when it gets brought to you? You know, hey, you're talking at both sides of the mouth, and then all you do is make excuses. I don't know. I don't know what it is, but we're going to know. And at some point in time, we got to fix it. So you either got to fix it or the people got to fix it. And like, you know, I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. All I know is that something's got to change. So, guys, that's it. That's my rant today. It's a big one. It's an hour long. I apologize. But I love you. Someday soon, I'm not going to talk about this problem. We're going to get through it. Hopefully the indictment comes out. I told you guys March or April. I'm sticking with April. So I believe, I think the grand jury meets like April 1st. I bet that there's something then, or first part of April. So we're going to know. It's a countdown. Maybe we'll put a clicker up somewhere, or a ticker. But it's coming, and the truth's going to be out, and then what are they going to do about it? So love you guys. Thanks for watching. Thanks for tuning in all the time. Like, share, and dude, we're going to make a difference. We are making a difference. They're talking about us. You know, they're addressing us personally in public, and that's because of you guys. That's because of your likes, your views, your watches. Keep doing it. And we're going to make sure that those that are elected represent you. Love you guys. See you next week.